Good morning, our dear students. Welcome back to our last video of our O-level box set covering with our online videos. Today, inshallah, we are covering the last unit with our book, and that's unit 18. Last unit of our module number 6. Module was called Science and Engineering. This unit is called Space Traveling. Space travel, traveling to space. Lots of ideas, lots of science fiction movies were done about this one. Lots of ideas and thoughts would come to our minds, and lots of big question marks would encounter us as long as we read and discover more about these. Now, let's check out the objectives that we will cover today. Today we will learn some grammar rules. We will identify how to build the passive question, the past simple passive question. We will also read about the ISS. The ISS is the International Space Station. It could be sometimes, as the Americans would say, it's the ISS, the International Space Station. So if you saw that in a movie, no one understands what does this abbreviation stand for. It stands for International Space Station. We also will have a listening text. It's supposed to be our new technology. We have the listening script. Then we have a speaking part and the language function. It's about describing things. The writing task we will cover is about describing an invention. Now, let's go ahead and look at this space picture. It's about space traveling. There is the space as we have seen it in many movies, and we all suppose it's actually looking like that. If we went into space, it would be that same color, that same vision. Now, let's go ahead and read exercise 1. Ask and answer. What can you see in the sky at night? Some would say stars, some would say the moon, some would say lots and lots of meteors if we see these shooting arrows that we see at now. We also have exercises 2, 3, and 4 discussing the reading text, talking about read about the International Space Station and check your answers with exercise 1. We have some vocabulary introduced in this text: stars, laboratory, equipment, space, ships, experiment. We are supposed to understand and identify the meanings of these words and try to match them with their definitions in here, then answer the questions in exercise 5 in here. Now, for these, I will give you a total of 4 minutes to handle exercises 3 and 4 and find some answers to them. Now, starting now, these answers. Okay, time's up. Let's see what we have done so far. Match the words with their meanings. Number 1, ships that can travel space. That's spaceships. Number 2, the sun is an example of one of these. Yes, correct. Stars. Tests done by scientists to find out something. Yeah, correct. These are experiments. 4, a room or building in which scientists do tests. Yeah, I hear you. That's laboratory. Number 5 and the last one, the things that are used for an activity. These are equipment. And be familiar with this word and remember this. There is nothing called equipments. No S. This word is uncountable, so it figures and it functions as a singular and a plural noun. There is no equipments, there is only equipment. Now, the answers for these exercises, the suggested answers are right there for you to check and match them with what you have done. Now, let's move to the next part, and that's building a question in the past simple passive. Let's start with this exercise and underline the 2 parts of the verb. Which sentences are in the passive tense, in the passive form? Some of these questions are not in the passive form, some others are in the passive form. Let's check this out and figure it out. First one is done for us. What was the International Space Station built to do? There is was, there is built. These are the 2 parts of the verb building the passive voice in here. Let's go on to the next. For that, I will give you a total of 2 minutes to handle this exercise, starting now. Okay, time's up. Let's check out the answers. Number 2, the International Space Station was built as a big laboratory. 3, the scientists are helped by so and so from the Earth. What was taken to the International Space Station in 2016? 3 more scientists were taken in the second spaceship. We can check and see that these questions are built in the forms of the passive voice, and we will check this out in this grammar box. Now, with the past simple passive question, we have 2 bullet points discussing this grammar rule. Let's cover them. We form the passive voice with subject plus past simple of verb to be, then the past participle of the main verb. For example, the English scientist was taken to the International Space Station last year. There is the subject we had to put as we have moved the real doer of the action. We have was, and that's the past simple of be. We have taken, that's the past participle of the main verb. Let's check out how we form the question. We form the questions in the past simple passive using the question word, then the past simple of be plus subject plus the past participle. Was food taken to the International Space Station? Was, that's the verb, the helping verb. Food, that's the subject, taken, the past participle, and the rest of the sentence. Who was taken to the ISS last year? Who, that's the question word, then the past simple of be, that's was, then taken, that's the past participle. We didn't put the subject because we put who, and who asks about the subject. Now, let's go ahead and answer exercise 2, discussing this grammar rule. For this exercise, I'll give you a total of 3 minutes, but let's start with reading the rubric and the first one to understand what we are about to cover. Ask questions in the past simple passive, then guess the correct answers. Who, so and so, internet discovered by. Our friends here helped us. Who was the internet discovered by? There is how we build the question. The answer, it was discovered by Tim Berners-Lee. So you build the question in the past simple passive form. You also build the answer, or you answer the question using the same form, the past simple passive voice. Go ahead and start. You have 3 minutes to figure this question out, and then we will check our answers. Go ahead. Okay, time's up. Let's check our answers. Yes. What opened in so and so for people to visit Cairo? What was opened in so and so for people to visit Cairo? The Great Pyramid, the Egyptian Museum, the Tower. That's the Egyptian Museum. Now, let's move on to the next one. When first telephone call made? The correct answer is when was the first telephone call made? Which animals used to send messages in the past? Which animals were used to send animals in the past? How papyrus used by the ancient Egyptians? How was papyrus used by ancient Egyptians? And so on. There go on. Let's move on to the next part. We have our language function part right here to discuss in this blue language function box. Asking about words you do not know. If you, and this is something quite familiar and it happens to all of us. If you don't remember a word, how would you say that? I can't remember. I don't know the word for these things. What do you call those things that we wear in our ears? Defining a word. If you want to get it closer, it's they are what you wear to keep your hands warm. They are gloves. It's something that you wear to protect your head. It's a cap and so on. Now, there are the answers for the exercises. Let's go ahead and read this reading text about the stars, and there are four important words, active vocabulary to get out of this text: telescopes, size, observatories, and century. We are to form these, match these four words with their definitions right here. Let's check out the first one. It's done for us. Which of the words in red in the text mean the following? Buildings from which scientists watch the sky, observatories. Now you have 2 minutes to finish the next three parts, the next three questions, and then we will check our answers. Go ahead and start right now. Okay, time's up. Let's move and check our answers. There are the answers. Number two, how big or small something is. That's the size. Pieces of equipment that makes things that are far away from closer, seem closer and larger. These are telescopes. Number four, 100 years used especially in given dates. This is a century. Now let's get to the last part of our unit, the review, and let's target everything we had learned in this unit. Let's start with exercise one. That's with the math to make sentences. These discuss the vocabulary. Two, make questions in the past simple passive. Rewrite these questions or read and answer the questions. Then let's handle the language function we have learned and use it in this exercise. For these three exercises, I would give you a total of 6 minutes to handle them starting now. Okay, time's up. Let's go ahead and finish the first exercise, the matching exercise. It's done for us. One, in England, tea is usually, it's drunk with milk. The Great Pyramid of Giza was, built around so and so. Yeah, correct answer. Number three, many cars are, made in Asia. Correct answer. In Egypt, the first color TV program was, shown in 1973. These are the correct answers. Let's get to these exercises as well. Robinson Crusoe was written in 1719. When was Robinson Crusoe written? There are the scenarios we might meet for the questions. When was the first mobile phone call made? What was ancient Egyptian soap made of? Where were stamps invented? And the last one, where was the coffee first drunk? There we go with the next question for the language function part. Complete the sentences with these words, then write what the sentences ask about or define. Call, remember, and something. It's something that is metal and used for money. That's coin. 2 and 3, there are the answers for them. I can't remember the word for the material that you use to cover the floors. It's the carpet. What do you call the room where you do sports inside of school? It's the gym. Let's get the last part of our unit, and that's the writing skill. It's using the pronoun to repeat a noun many times in a paragraph. Let's check this out. Hussein was walking along the street yesterday when Hussein. We removed Hussein and we put he. Saw an old woman. Let's check out this name, an old woman. With some heavy bag. The old woman, since it's mentioned before, we can use it you replace it with a pronoun. And this is the main point we have to target with this writing skill. If we have many nouns, or if we have a noun mentioned many times in a text, we can replace this noun with a pronoun that works and defines it well. If it's a boy, we use he, a girl, we use she, and so on. Now we have done our part with this unit. Let's go back to our objectives that are now to be, as we are familiar, called outcomes. We have covered the grammar part about past simple passive questions. We have identified the grammar rule and practiced it. We also read about the ISS, the International Space Station. We spoke about describing things and how to say or talk about something you don't remember the word for it. We also spoke about describing inventions with the reading part on the last part of our unit. That's on lesson 4. Yeah, there it is about the stars and telescopes. I hope you guys have enjoyed our video today and the rest of the videos shared with you before that. But this will be the last video for us together, and hopefully, inshallah, we will meet with the revision videos for us to wrap up and cover the whole box set. Till then, wish you all the best of luck and thanks for your time. Hope you have enjoyed because I am sure I myself had. See you later and goodbye.